Hello friends, welcome back to the session. So in this session we will discuss about how to declare the data objects, nothing but the memory or we can say variable in SAP. Also how to assign the data types to the declared variable or declared data object. Once after defining the data objects or the variable, how that variable is going to be hold the data. Sometimes we are going to maintain the static data, nothing but constant, or most of the time the data will be flow dynamically. And how to print the statement in output list and what is the width of your output list. So let's start. So if you want to declare any object in SAP, that is a part of data keyword. So I can say data keyword. If you want to declare any object in programming, during the programming, that is a part of your data keyword. So using data keyword, we are going to declare the data objects or we can say the variable with which it's going to assign the physical memory. So it can hold the data during the runtime. I can say it will be used to declare the data objects. It is something like memory or we can say the variable to hold the data during the runtime. Of course, as we discussed in the previous sessions, so we need to, like, whenever we execute any applications, so from start point to end point, like from input screen to your output screen, in the middle, he is going to process the data. Might be reading the data from the database, might be it is writing the data into the database. So during that time period, he needs some temporary memory to hold the data temporarily. So that temporary memory we are going to define by using the keyword called data. That memory most of the time we can call as a data objects or we can say the variable. So during the runtime. Now for example, I can say the syntax. So data is a keyword. Using this keyword, we are going to declare the memory. We are going to assign the memory to the object so that he can able to hold the data. Now, for example, during the runtime, I want to hold the name. It can be vendor name, it can be customer name, it can be student name, it can be employee, any name. So I'm going to declare the variable or the memory or the data object in the name of name itself. Always you should have the meaningful name. Meaningful name. Then, once after declaring the variable, we must assign the data type. Like in the previous session, we have discussed about the different data types, which is going to be supported by the ABAP programming language. Like you do have numeric, within the numeric, we do have integer, floating point, packed decimal. Then the next is character. Character is itself a data type. Again, under the character, you do have the date and the time. Thereafter, you do have the string and the hexadecimal. These are the different data types which we have discussed. Now, whatever the variable you are going to define to hold the data during the runtime, what kind of data is about to hold this by this variable? Either it's going to be hold your alphabets, either it's holding the any numbers that we are going to assign by using the type keyword. Do you know? Type. Type is a keyword with which we are going to assign the data type. Now, this name is a variable. In this variable, we are going to fill the data during the runtime and what kind of data is going to be hold that is going to assign by using the type keyword. Now, of course, it's going to be hold the alphabets. And if you are holding the alphabets, then what should be the data type? Character. So character is going to be represented by using either C or CHAR. Anything is fine. Either C or CHAR. Now, do you know like the default data type in SAP is character, and what is the default length of the character is 1. For example, you have declared this variable. Once after declaration, you want to fill up with some data. The data can be filled up dynamically also. The data can be stored constant as a part of static also. Now I want to store the data in this variable. How to store? So once after declaration, you are going to fill up the data. Name is equals to, I can say, John. So this is the data I want to store. So while seeing, you can see that completely John as a word which is being filled in the name. But that complete word will not be fit into the name variable. That complete 4-character word will not be fit into the variable called name. Why? Because you have declared the data type as a character and the default length of the character is 1. It means it can hold up to 1 character only. Means only first character will be fit into the name. Remaining OHN, remaining 3 words will not be fit into this. Then what's the solution for this? Now, if you want that name should hold the complete value, then you need to extend the length of that variable. Now, how to extend the length? In bracket after the name. So there are the two different way. The representation will be two different way, but ultimately the result will be the same. One way is what? After the variable continuously in bracket you need to specify the length. Like name in bracket 20 space type space char. It means name is a variable which is going to hold the character and up to extendable length is 20. Now it can hold the complete value. It can be hold the remaining 60 for the 16 character also. Total length is 20 character length. Up to 20 character length you can hold the data. Now if you like some name is more than that, in that situation you must extend the length. This is one way, and another way is what? You can simply say that character 20 also. Even this way is also fine. char 20 continuously. But most of the time we are going to declare like this only. Okay, but anyway is fine. It doesn't mean that you must go with in this way only, right? So once after declaring the variable, you can fill up the data. So this is the way. This is for filling the data. So as we discussed, data is a keyword with which we are going to define the variable, or we are going to assign the memory to the declared object, and type is a keyword with which we are going to assign the data type to the declared variable. So here I can say type keyword. It will be used to assign the data type to the declared variable. You can say variable or you can say data objects also. Now within the data objects, you cannot find only the variable as the option. You do find multiple, like you do find two more, work area and the internal table. Now what is the meaning of this work area and the internal table? That we will see in the next session, next to this. So within the data object is nothing but a memory which can hold the data. Now, one of the data object is variable. Likewise, we do have the different data objects too. So the difference between these is like I can tell you the for the time being I can let you know the variable, the meaning of the variable. So work area and the internal table we do have the differentiation for that. So variable means it can hold the single value. They're like name. It is a single value. It can hold only name. Likewise, if you want to hold some different value like city, postal, street, in that case, you need to define the different variables. So variable always means it will hold a single value. Similarly, we do have the data objects as work area, data objects as internal table that we will see in a different session. Like suppose if I want to define the multiple data objects or the variable, like again you can go with the data keyword. Now this time I want to define with the city, like city in bracket 25. You can give any length, type C. As I told you that character will be represented by using either C also or CHAR also. Now similarly, I want to declare, I want to hold the postal code. Now postal code, it is up to 6 character. Again, it's a number. So you can represent by using C also. Otherwise, you can go with the number also. NUMC numeric. Either it can be represented by using N or NUMC. Anything is fine. Only the two data types in SAP, like character and the numeric, it is a default length is single. If you want to hold more length, then you need to give the extended length. How many number of characters you are going to hold. Sometimes you never know like what is the length of the data. Like you want to write some Facebook post, you want to write some X post like Twitter. Sometimes you need to write the email body. In that situation, the number of characters are always unlimited. There is no any restriction. In that situation, like if I go with the character, if I say 25, it can be like restricted. You cannot go beyond the 25 character. If I say 50 or 500, 1024 byte, you never know. Like if I say the email body, it can be longer characters, right? In that situation, you should go with the, I can say either Facebook post or email body or something. In that situation, you can go it as a type string. So string is a collection of character. It means it will behave like a character, but length is unlimited. Now, suppose I want to hold the number, or you can go with the mobile number also. Something like mobile. I want to hold the mobile number. So mobile number up to 10 character. Either you can go with the C or N. Both is fine. Similarly, I want to hold the results. So before that, I want to hold the amount. In that situation, you can go with type I. Integer, you can either you can represent by using I or int. But the length of the integer is unlimited. There is no any restriction. You can hold n number of characters. But numbers, if you are storing the numbers with the help of I, it will always be separated by comma. Even the n, the numeric is also going to hold the data in the format of numbers only. It will allow only numbers, but it never be separated by comma. Like postal code, mobile number, then Aadhaar number, it never be separated by comma. But if these number, if you store with the help of I, it will always be separated by comma. Suppose if I am storing the mobile number with the help of I, and the mobile number is something like 944. Does it looks good if I store my mobile number with the separated by comma? If I'm storing the postal code, like how it going to be stored? One, something like this. Does it look good? 1 comma 10 comma 011. Does it look good? Does it represent as a postal code? Does it represent as a mobile number? No. If it is separated by comma, so our assumption is what? If the numbers are separated by comma, then it represent the amount. So it's up to like depends upon the requirement, whatever the variable you are defining. So before that, you need to be sure like what kind of data is about to hold. So accordingly, we are going to assign the data types. Similarly, suppose if I want to hold the data in the format of decimal places. So usually we never go with the floating point because we cannot restrict the decimal places. It is not possible to restrict the decimal places. So we better go with the packed decimal only. Suppose I want to hold the results or any calculation. Then we are going to say it as type P. Nothing but packed decimal, it will hold the data in the decimal places. But of course, you want to restrict the decimal places, so you need to say that decimals. Now, after the decimal, how many character you want to store? Like 2. Decimals space 2. It means after the decimal, you are going to hold only 2 digits. Right? So this is how we are going to define the different data types. Sorry, variables or the data object. Like suppose if I want to hold the date, joining date. So I can say type D, and the default format is year, month, and the day. Now like I have declared the multiple variables and multiple times I have used this data keyword. Is there any alternative solution for this? Like, does it looks good? See, whenever you are working with the programming, along with the program, you also need to take care about the performance. So performance is what? There are many points. So one of the point is avoid the repetitive code. If you're writing the more and more code, same repetitive code if you're writing, then of course you're going to consume the memory. Of course, it ultimately make a load on the system. Again, it is the part of response time is going to be delayed. So that is one of the reason behind the performance. So not only programming, even your day-to-day routine also, how physically you are looking like, it's not always look, means it's not only matter about the looks, how internally you fit you are, that also matters. Same way, the code which you have written, ultimately you are getting the result, that's fine. But in parallel, you also need to take care about the performance, right? So with the same, like with the single data keyword, you can define the multiple variable. How? So you can avoid this one. Writing the multiple times data keyword, you can avoid this one by using this chain operator. We can say chain, two colons. It represents chain operator, I can say. With the single keyword, you can define the multiple statement. And earlier, we have written the multiple data keyword. So with the single data keywords, I have declared the single variable or the single data object. And lastly, I have ended with the full stop. But now this time, with the single data keyword, I am trying to declare the multiple statement. Then each statement must be separated by comma. Okay, now this time I'm using the comma and lastly full stop. So this is what about your data keyword. So using data keyword, we are going to declare the variable or we are assigning the memory to the object, and with the type keyword, we are going to assign the data type to the declared variable. So this is about your data keyword and the type keyword. There are two more. The third one is the value keyword. So you may come across with the keyword called value. So once after declaring the variable, of course you need to be fill up with the data. So data can be constant, nothing but the static, hard coded. As sometimes, most of the time data will be dynamic. So if your data is dynamically flowing, that is a different thing. But if you want to hard code it, if you want to store the static value, constant value, then that constant value will be filled up by using the value keyword. It will be used to store value, store, I can say fill up the value in a variable, and this value will be as a constant value, or I can say static value. It will be remain same, cannot be changed. Of course it can be changed, but that is during the runtime, and that we are going to do by using the debugging concept. That is a different things, and that is only for related to the developer. It's not possible during the real time. Okay, so how to do it? Suppose I'm declaring any variable like data, something like name. Once after declaring the variable, I'm going to extend the length because I'm using the type C. So one of the way to fill up the data in the variable is this. This is one of the way. Once after declaring the variable, you can fill up the data in this variable by using this way. So this is one of the way. This is one of the way. So alternative way to the one which we have discussed is value keyword. So we can say value John. So using data keyword, we are going to declare the variable. Using type keyword, we are assigning the data type to the declared variable. And using value keyword, we are going to fill up the data. Using value keyword, we are going to fill up the data into the declared variable. So these are the three things. So you can fill up the data hard code in this way also. Otherwise, this is the first way. Let's assume this is the first way, and this is the second way to fill up the data into the variable. Okay, so we have done with data keyword, type keyword, and the value keyword. The lastly, the right keyword. Like the right keyword will be used to display the statement. It will be used to display the statement. Like in the C programming, if you know the C programming, so there we use the printf, scanf, especially the printf statement will be used to display the statement or the keyword in your output list. In the same way, in SAP, we use write keyword to print the statement in the output list. So it will be used print the statement in the output list. So first you need to declare the variable. Suppose I am declaring three variables. Data with the chain, so customer name in bracket 20, type C, then city in bracket 20, type C, then after postal code 6, type C. Now once after declaring the variable, you can fill up the value. So that value in that variable will be filled up by using the value keyword, which we have already discussed. And certain situation, only during certain situation we are going to hard code the value, or we are going to have a static value. But most of the time the data is a dynamic. The data will be flow dynamically. If you want to hard code it, then we are going to hard code by using this way, like name, city, and the postal. This is something like this. Like name is something like John, the city is something like Munich, and the postal is something like. So whenever we write in this way, the data will be flow from right to left. In this way, the data will be flow right to left. This is one of the way, and the other way alternative to this is we can simply say move. Even move is also a keyword which will be used to move the data from one variable to another. You can say that move John to the variable called name. Similarly, move the variable called, sorry, the data called Munich to city. Again, move the postal code to postal. Either you can use this way or you can use this way to fill up the data into the variable, right? If you go with the first way, the data will be flow from right to left. If you go with the second way, the data will be flow from left to right. These are the two different way to move the data from one variable to another variable, or directly you are moving the data to the variable, right? Now these variable are holding some value, right? We need to print it in the output list. Now how to print? So printing will be done by using the write keyword. So write keyword will be used to print the statement in the output list. So if I say name, name. So name is a variable here. Name is a variable over here. Name. Now if you look at the output list, what is the architecture of SAP? SAP is a three-tier architecture which contains presentation, application, and the database. So this is the architecture. So presentation is meant for providing the input. After providing the input, it will do the execution in the application. Based on that, it will perform the read and write operation on the database. If you are performing the read operation through the application, again the data will come back to your presentation only, right? So input and the output will be done in the presentation itself. Now you might have the confusion like between the three-tier architecture and the system landscape. In the three-tier architecture, you do have the three set of server. Even in the system landscape, you do have the three set of server. I will show you the proper architecture of this. What is the relationship between the three-tier architecture and the system landscape? That will be in the next session, flow of data in the three-tier architecture. Our next session will be the flow of data in three-tier architecture, how the data is being flowed between the three-tier architecture and how it is correlated to your system landscape. So that will be your next topic. So here, of course, your data is being printed in the presentation server. So this is your presentation server. Your data is being printed in the presentation server only, right? So here the most important thing is to you, the width of your output list. Do you know the laptop which you are holding, the mobile phone you are holding, in your home you do have the television, TV, how you are going to measure your screen? Diagonally, the ratio we can say, 14 inch, 15 inch. Same way, here also we do have the output list we can say, and width of the output list. So width of your output list of SAP screen is 0 to 255 character. The width of your SAP output list is 255 character. It means this is a maximum reach. You cannot display the data beyond 255 characters. Suppose if I say the name as a John, John, how many characters are there? 4 characters. So if you start displaying the data one by one, you cannot display the data beyond 255 character. That is a maximum reach. And in SAP, all the statement it will start printing from left by one places. In SAP, all the statement it will start printing from left by one places. This is the default printing position of statement in the SAP output list. All the statement it will start printing from left by one position. Do you know, in your, like if you do have the notebook, if your habit of having some writing continuously, and when your page starts, does it mean you are start writing on the page corner? No, right? You are going to leave some space and then you are going to start writing. Same way. Same way, while printing the statement in SAP in the output list, by default it will start printing from the first position. It is not possible to print it in the 0th position, edge in the corner. No, we are going to leave some space and we are going to print it out. In the same way, by default, all the statement in SAP it will start printing from left by one places. So this is the default position. Now here you can see we are trying to print the variable called name. In that variable, what is your value? John. So John will start printing from left by one places. John, right? So because we have written the right keyword. So here I will make a difference for you again. Okay. So first what we are doing, we are bringing the data to the variable and from their variable we are printing it in the output list. Now you can ask me, without declaring the variable, is it possible to directly print it the value? Like way is what? First you are declaring the variable, you are filling the data to the variable, and I'm talking about constant. Here we have maintained the static value, constant value. First we declare the variable, we fill up the value, and then we are printing it. Is it possible to print the value directly? Of course, yes. How to do? So here we can say write is your keyword again, and you will make it as a John. So this makes a difference. It means it's your variable and it represents a value directly. If you're writing any keyword without the inverted column, so here I have written the name without the inverted column, it represents a variable, a memory. Now, of course, inside the memory, whatever the value is there, that is being printed. And in the right hand side is itself a value. Of course, we are writing in inverted column. it represents a value and that is going to be printed as it is. Now suppose the same name itself, if I written in the format of inverted column, then in this situation it will represent the value and your output will be something like name itself, because this has been represented in the format of inverted column, so it will consider the value. But here name is not our value, it's a variable. Okay, name is a variable. In the name, whatever the value we have stored, that we are printing as a John. Now similarly, I want to print the next variable, something like a right and the city. Okay, so in the city, what value we have stored? It's a Munich. And what is the default position of every statement in the output list? It will start displaying from left by 1 places. It means that first position is already been reserved for the name. John has been printed at that position. And if you're trying to print the second value called Munich, that might be the chances of getting overlapped. Because even for the city, it will start printing from left by 1 places. That might be chances of getting overlapped with the name. That should not be the happen. Then what is the solution? So from character position 1 to 4, like first character position is John, like J, the second is for O, the third character position is reserved for H, and the fourth character is reserved for the N. Likewise, up to how many character you can store the data, because extended length is 20 character. So we are assuming in that name variable, it might come across with the different values. Like it can be John, somewhat Michael, some other name also that can be up to 20 character length. So what we can do is we can reserve the 20 character length for the name. And whatever the next value which you want to print, you can manage it after the 20 character position. So what we are planning, so we will reserve up to 20 character position for name. It can hold up to 20 character, and we will print the next value at the 25th character position. Means whenever the city comes, it should start printing from the 25th character position. Then how we are going to represent that 20 character position? Right keyword, space, the position, like whatever the next value which you want to print, that value start printing from this position. So 25 is a character position in the output list, so that value will start getting printed from the 25th, like whatever the number you are providing, up to you can display the data 255 character position, right? So your city, what is the city? Munich. It will start printing from the 25 character position, right? Similarly, cities can also up to 20 character. So again, what we can do is, so from 25 to 45, this becomes the 20 character, and we will leave some spaces and we will print the next value from the 50th position. Some giving some, like 20 character will be the data, and after that we will give some space. We should not like print it continuously, right? We are going to give some space. So that space I'm managing. So 5 character space I'm managing between the two columns. And the 25, like the third column should print at the 50th position. I can say the position, and this is postal. So your next value will be started printing from the 50th position. Postal 41107. This is how. Now, in the first, like in the right name, I have not provided anything. So by default, it will be considered as 1. If you are not providing anything, so by default system, it will consider as 1. So this represent the character position of your character in the output list. At what position it should start printing the statement. That's what it represents. Now similarly, I want to print one more name, city, postal. Let's assume I want to print one more name, city, postal. Like this time I want to print somewhat name called Neha, right keyword, she belongs to Delhi. Similarly, some odd postal code. Okay. Now the next data I'm trying to print, Neha, Delhi, and the 411027. Now it means here we need to provide the character position as well. So by default it will be remains 1. Okay. It is something like 25 and this is something like 50. It means the Neha will get overlapped with the John. The Delhi will get overlapped with the Munich and the postal code is get overlapped with the existing value. This should not be happen, right? So what is the solution for this? The new data should goes to the new line. It means this is of course a new data. So it should go to this next line. Something like this. Neha, Delhi, right? So how to do this one? So that will be represented by using the forward slash, forward slash. So you must use the forward slash. So forward slash indicates new line. It is something work like a enter. Do you know, like in the Word file, Notepad, if your cursor is at specific line, suppose if you want to write the next statement in the next line, you just click enter so that your cursor will comes to the next line. And whatever the character you're writing, that will be printed in the same line, wherever your cursor position is. Same way, this forward slash, it will work something like a enter. It will take your cursor to the next line. And of course, at the first position, you're printing the next value. At the 25th position, you're printing the next value. And the 50th position, you're printing the next value. So this is how we use data keyword, type keyword, value keyword, and the rate keyword. And the default output length of your presentation server is 0 to 255 character. You cannot display the data beyond the 255 character. So in the next session, we will see about the work area and the internet table. So these are the part of data objects only. And with the help of these, it will helpful of like the data, as we discussed, the data will be flow between the three-tier architecture. Now during the data flowing, we record about this work area and the internet table. So that is our next session. So that's all. Thank you for the session. We'll meet you in the next session.